Hi everyone, this is Kelly Beard of KarmicTools.com, and this is your weekly forecast for April 21st to the 27th of 2019. We start the week with an activation on Monday, the Sun conjunct Uranus. So this is a very powerful initiation. Sun links up with Uranus every year, but in the last 8 years it's been in Aries. So now we are starting our dive into Taurus liberation. And we all get to benefit from this, not the least of which is getting in tune with our own bodies again and learning how to communicate with our own consciousness that is alive and awake and flowing through your veins and is a language you innately know. So on the 22nd, which is also Earth Day, Sun linking up with Uranus in Taurus, maybe we can do all our prayers and our own self-work and dedicate that work that we do on ourselves to awakening our bodies and that connection to the rhythm and the nature that most nourishes, supports, and protects us, and claim that for Mama. Because on 4/22 is Earth Day, and this is the sun illuminating and awakening and brightening up this area of your chart, probably for the first time ever, since it hasn't been in Taurus in 84 years. So this energy serves to provoke a radical shift within you, catalyzing the desire to breathe fresh, clean, new, vital energy into your idea of who you are and what you came to contribute. It may not be comfortable, but it is necessary, and even more so for those of you who are rigid in your habits and thinking, or those of you who depend on others to validate who you are and what you contribute. Sometimes a little disruption serves to get you focused on what is really important to you. And at this time, change is in the air. It is far better to use the intensity of collective change to shift on personal levels rather than try to go it alone, or worse, play the martyr or the victim. It's time for your most unique self to contribute the peace only you can. This activation may bring the sudden clarity you need and a refreshed attitude toward life, which can help tremendously as you fortify the connection to what makes you feel truly free and independent. If you resist the shift, you will manifest other disruptions that are far less productive, much more frustrating, and significantly more costly. So, you may have heard me say along the way, change is part of the game. We get eclipses twice a year. There's always energy for change. The thing that changes is the lesson or the energy or the vibration, or in astrology, it would be the signs that they fall in. So this is an awakening that we can co-create with. And I can use myself as an example. Taurus rules my 6th house of, my daily routine. And that is exactly what's changing now that I am in empty nest zone, where my son is on his path and my husband's on his path and I'm getting on my path because my focus has primarily been family all this time. That was my everyday routine. But I'm getting a total jolt to brand new rhythms and routines because there's new energy in new places, and I'm new, and I've been through some other things and learning in the last 10, 20, 30 years. So have you. So like I say in the beginning of that one, use the energy that is happening on the collective level, which is Uranus is a collective planet, and bring it back into Sun, which is the individual. That's you. So know that connection is micro to macro, And then on the 24th, Pluto's going to retrograde at 23 Capricorn. And this is part of Pluto's very long 16-year process in Capricorn that started in 2008 and goes to 2024. It is always with Pluto a process of purification and transformation. So that's in your Capricorn house, wherever that is. So you see how the earth signs are activated? Well, not all the earth signs. Virgo's not activated at this time, but that means we have to bring it in consciously. And what does that mean? That means we have to create our own system. We have to tune into what's natural for us, and we have to make the everyday mundane things sacred. This is part of Virgo's job. So we want to do that consciously, and again, tune into the Capricorn house, which is restructuring something for you, and the Taurus house, which is building something new for you, or like we've talked about a lot, the development of the garden. Whether it's the garden of your soul or the garden of your life, it's all connected. It's what you're creating with your own life and choices and the path that you've chosen. And every year, Pluto goes backwards. So because this is a collective level thing, we can, again, tune into it on a micro level and use some of that concentrated power to do our own purification and transformation processes. So it's like we do when we allow spirit to work through us. We get out of the way. With Pluto, you want to get out of the way and let it purify and distill things back to their natural essence for you. And you just call in the highest possible vibration that can support that, the purest light there is, and what is for your greater good, higher good of all involved. That's the way to deal with Pluto power and be clean about it. So this retrograde happens annually, facilitating evolution on a much more subtle level. Although if your chart is activated, it may not feel subtle. And so that is for anyone with late degrees of Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn. And that crew, and me included, because I have a lot of Aries, Libra, and Cancer, is on deck across the board, pretty much. So it's intense for everyone, but then think about winter, spring, summer, fall. If you don't have any of those signs activated in your chart, then it's just those times of year that probably intensify and activate those departments in your life. So it's good to co-create, and on a personal level, Pluto helps you dig up any destructive, unconscious patterns. It does also strip you raw and confront you with who you are and how you will survive when nothing and no one else is available to help or support you. Okay? Pluto likes to strip it bare essentials. I like to think of Pluto as our buried treasures. And like diamonds, it often requires a very special task to release from within and bring into the light those buried treasures. Often because Pluto rules death, rebirth, and transformation, something is sacrificed for your own greater good. Although it may be sometimes painful and debilitating, it doesn't have to be, but it is almost always A, necessary, and B, ultimately liberating. This is what we call the liberating ordeal, because it's an ordeal, but when you get to the other side of it, you are liberated. It's a powerful thing to co-create with. Pluto is traveling through the Capricorn sector of your chart, digging deep and activating any other planets you may have in Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, or Libra by default. So it's good to look at this as an ongoing purification and transformation of this department in life, and subsequently those other three areas too. Pluto moves generations and great numbers of people along their evolutionary path. However, every year when it retrogrades, it turns that energy inward, giving us unique access to our own depths where soul self resides. When it goes forward, it is a very gradual awakening process that develops from there. That will be September 18th, which is very close to fall equinox. So that gives you a gauge of the time frame to work with. Transformation happens behind the scenes and often out of the prying eyes of others, as well as your own conscious monkey mind. This is deep soul work that only you can do. What have you really purified and transformed this year? Or what would you like to? Use this time to set intentions, and that is between April and September, for purification in the sense that you are supported to strip away the non-essential and reconnect with your purest original intent. I'd like to interject here too that Pluto, even hard things with Saturn, none of the planets, as you know, they're neutral. So that it's not meant to be malicious. And so you have to trust that it's also not going to strip anything or take anything away that you actually need. Pluto's all about what's dead on the vine and totally done. And sometimes humans seem to be the only species that hangs on overlong to everything. The animals just don't do that. So because change is greatly supported at this time, anything that you are ready, really ready, truly willing, and finally able to change can be transformed forever. That's the other thing about Pluto, permanent change. Capricorn gets everyone focused on choices and responsibilities, as well as the structure of your life that supports and protects you, and the overall stability of whatever house it rules. So Capricorn's about the things we choose to be responsible for. So whatever department, whatever house that falls in for you, is usually where your lessons of responsibility versus obligation, different ways of approaching your inner authority and your commitments to others. So that's up across the board. And to remind you about Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, they are the fundamentals in life. It is the individual within the context of the relationship or group or collaboration. It's home versus work. It's the four dynamics as human beings we all have to work out. But if you have these signs activated, planets, there animating the lessons very personally for you, then you've chosen to go a little deeper with this. And you can probably feel it a little deeper as well. So from the 22nd, we jump all the way to the 27th, which is Saturday. So that's kind of useful, let me just say, while Pluto's standing still like that, because it's pretty intense. So if you need to take some time, definitely try to do that. On Saturday, it's Mars square Neptune. So this is our action and choices and who we are and what we want squaring off with delusions. So this is where we have to be really honest with ourselves about the facts and the truth and what's really happening in real time. And also maintain really good boundaries with others. So this can be an annoying energy, to say the least. Basically, you may be confronted with challenges which are a direct result of earlier choices. These are the kind of choices you eventually realized were wrong and had hoped the consequences would somehow pass you by. Not. You may feel very discouraged, possibly depressed, and be filled with fear and doubt. The key to getting through this energy is to take a step back, reflect on your choices and what led you to this point, and then, as objectively as possible, evaluate what went wrong. Now, I got to pause here. You can evaluate it, but don't get stuck there and don't beat yourself up about it. What you're trying to do is not identify it so that you have something to blame or something, some place to justify it. What you're trying to identify is what to do differently this time as you are faced with the new choices so that you don't lock yourself in that, repetitive cycle. And it's depression. It's like that. Neptune is, you got to think very watery. And when you're trying to walk on the bottom of the pool, very hard, very hard. So that's kind of the feeling, the visual I get from this combination. So, like I said, the key to getting through it is be objective and try to do some assessments. The tendency with this energy is to want to give up completely on the path you have chosen when all that is probably necessary is a little tweaking. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Try to identify the aspect that is causing the most conflict, inner or outer. And then you also might feel a little crisis of faith. When we have challenges to Neptune, that's when we have to really draw from our soul level faith in the overall positive results that are possible. Just holding on to that vision that all is working together for good. So as you're identifying whatever is causing the most conflict, inner or outer, if you don't feel that you can be objective enough or that you struggle with identifying this aspect, I usually enlist two other people so they can give you their opinion and then you get to follow your gut instinct on the direction to take from there. Really important to just have a couple of different perspectives so that you can call in the truth of your own perspective, ultimately run it through the heart filter and make those choices accordingly with as much clarity as possible. The other temptation with this energy is to be deceptive, either to yourself or others. Either way, don't give in. It will only come back to bite you harder later. Your physical energy is likely to be low as well. Do not force yourself to do anything you are truly not feeling right now. Okay? Really don't, please. Instead, meditate on what action may be necessary when your energy returns. Be still. Avoid confrontations with others as it is just the energy pushing you out of comfort zone into new territory. This is a test of sorts, and the best way to deal with it is to face your fears and clarify your desires. My personal 2 cents about these two planets, Mars and Neptune, in a difficult angle, is to reflect on what actions have been taken and not worked toward the fulfillment of your dreams and start your tweaking there. So however you've been pursuing your dreams and whatever you've been doing that hasn't worked yet And I know this one because I'm an independent business person and I've done a lot of things the same way for many years. And that's a lot of what the routine is changing at work too for me. So, and part of the way that I've broken some negative cycles and patterns was just that, doing the opposite or just doing something radically different than I've ever done in that department. And it's happening in my business. I can say that. I'm doing a lot of things differently and open to a lot of new and different ways of doing business that I was not open to 5, 10, 20 years ago. So it's part of the process to honor our process. And this week, by and large, is relatively light compared to the next 2 weeks coming. So let's use this time between the full moon and the new moon to distill things and get ready for that Taurus new moon, which is coming up at the end of next week. And you get to plant those seeds in the garden of what really will nourish and sustain you and be beautiful and luxurious and delicious all at the same time. Because that is our birthright, people. Mother Earth is a beautiful garden jewel hanging in the universe. And to our knowledge, the only one alive like that. From the core to the outer shield. We are living on and with another living being. So let's remember that on Earth Day too, and send all our prayers to Mother, and remembering that if the individuals get it together, the globe will be okay. I am not the only one. I have heard this from many other sources that do their meditations and connect to their own guides, and they talk to Mother Earth and go, what can we do? We're so sorry for humanity, apologizing, and all that good stuff. And every one of them comes back and says, Mama says she's fine. Y'all need to get it together. So let's just do what we can in our individual zones and know that that will ripple out. And as we band together, we exponentially grow that power to tip the scales toward healing and wholeness and integration. And the better we are at doing that for ourselves, the more naturally and organically it will happen for Earth as well. So just dedicate all your work for the next couple of weeks to Mama and see what kind of blossoms bloom in your garden. All right. I'm heading to New Orleans for Jazz Fest, so I will think of you all as I am under the sky listening to brilliant musicians and feeling truly blessed. So, thanks for listening. This is Kelly Beard of KarmicTools.com, and I am so grateful for your time, energy, and support. Please share this with those you think would resonate and reach out if and when you need to. Kelly at KarmicTools.com. The goal of my weekly forecast is to alert you to the energies and activations that we're all experiencing and the possibilities for conscious co-creation as an individual. Awareness of the energies is the first key, but I invite you to take it to the next level by checking out my readings, telecircles, and subscriptions, which are all geared toward individual support that helps you understand your own unique blueprint. My specialty is cycles and patterns, and I love helping people figure out their own within the context of the social and collective rhythm. To some, working with their own cycles and patterns is a completely new and foreign concept, but there are many planetary cycles that coincide with natural life cycles that allow us to co-create in mystical as well as practical ways. I create custom tools that I have tried and tested myself for over 30 years, and I do the work alongside my circle every time. So I hope you will reach out if you feel called to dive deeper into your own soul's natural rhythm. Talk to you soon. One love.